Welcome. Welcome, everybody. We are here today. I want to show you what we are doing today. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone on Instagram. Welcome, everyone on Facebook. I'm glad to see everybody. I'm glad to say hello to everyone. My name is Lana. Shalom. Hello, hello. Oh, thank you. Wow, thank you. Yeah, this is so beautiful. Oh, I love Dubai. I have so many students from Dubai. I love it. I was in one of my sessions, I was talking about for next year going to Dubai. So yes, definitely hello to Dubai. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Suhair. Hello. So nice to see you. So nice to see you. Everybody, my name is Lana Shalom. I'm a certified Neurographic instructor and coach from 2018. I'm here today to talk to you about the 7 steps of the algorithm. I will be talking specifically about step number 5. It's amazing. For the last 2 weeks, we've been going through other steps, right? We've been going through steps 1. Step 1, just to remind all of you who are not so familiar or who are familiar but may have forgotten. Step 1 is setting the goal, setting the topic, figuring out what your thematic idea is for drawing, for drawing Neurographica. Step 2 is adding the composition, starting your composition. Oh, thank you, Fuzia. Oh, I would love that. Yes. So here, I will let you guys know when I'm coming to Dubai. I know people let me know already. They're like, yay, we're going to be glad to see you. So definitely something on my list to do. Step 2, when we do the composition, whether it can be starting with the neural lines, it can be done through the catharsis, it can be done through the shapes. Step 3 is the conjoining, the rounding process. We actually discussed in that session. Each session, we devoted each session to each of the steps. And during the conjoining session, we discussed the rounding process, what happens when we round them together, when there's that fusion. Then there was step 4, right? Integration. And we did that, I believe, not yesterday, but I believe Friday it was 4.1. We started discussing what happens when we add neural lines to the background. And today's step 5, the archetyping, okay? No, I'm sorry, that's not step 5. That's step 4.2. There you go. That's 4.2, not step 5. Step 5 will be tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Thursday. Thursday will be step 5, which will be field lines, okay? So for those of you on Instagram who haven't seen the other sessions, as I just figured out how to go live on Instagram, so I'm going to be practicing. I'm very excited about it. And those of you, welcome to go to my YouTube channel. You will be able to catch up to all the previous sessions, to all the discussions, to all the drawings, right? We don't just discuss, we also draw. So that's going to be very exciting. Okay, so today what we're doing, we are discussing something called archetyping. Okay, what is archetyping? Archetyping in Neurographica is what we call when we start adding color. What happens when we start adding color? What is color all about? Color is all about lots of underlying ideas and the way the subconscious works on a separate level, right? Up until now, we did the composition, right? We started the storytelling. Hi, Michelle, how are you? We started the storytelling. Up until now, we started exploring what's going on within our story, personal, and then we start going to the outside, to the society, to the environment. That was adding the neurolines, right? We started adding the harmony to who we are, to what we're looking to bring in, to what we're looking to achieve. And that was step 3, the conjoining. At this point, right, when we are so deep, by the way, after this, we're going to do a series of sessions on the pyramid of consciousness, where I will be talking more about each step of the pyramid. And then we're going to connect them to each step of the algorithm, because there's a huge connection. At this point, we're so deep within our conscious, subconscious, unconscious, maybe in some way. And according to the pyramid of consciousness, according to the pyramid of consciousness was actually based upon the Jungian pyramid of consciousness and consciousness and all of that. So archetypes is a huge, humongous prototype symbol, we all know, within the Jungian theory of psychology. And when we discuss the archetyping, it's interesting to note, right? A lot of people, when they start drawing Neurographica, they get quite confused. They start asking me question, why is it called archetyping? Why can't you just name it coloring? You know, because that's what it is. You're adding color. Why does it have to be called archetype? And in order to understand it, we have to see what's going on. What is archetyping, right? Archetypes, we are talking here in the main idea of archetypes that we're discussing here will be the Jungian idea, right? By Jung, archetypes are collectively inherited unconscious ideas. It's a pattern of thought, you know, it's an image, it's a universally presented image that within individual thoughts will be kind of unified. It's called collective unconsciousness, right? Within all our minds, if we say a general image, it will mean the same thing, right? The best general example would be the mother, right? The archetype of a mother. Whenever, if I say the word mother, right, everybody will have an idea that it's a figure of a mother, a figure of a female taking care of a baby, right? It's within some cultures and some religions, there will be even an image of a woman holding a baby, right? Within some other cultures, it may be just the thought of a mother maybe feeding a baby or taking care of a baby, maybe a mother being at home, right? But the basic idea is that the mother is a female figure who takes care of a child, right? Nowadays, right, in present generation, they can vary, right? Different cultures, again, different background, different nationalities may add their own ideas to what the mother may constitute. But the archetypal idea of a mother is a female figure who comforts and care, right? And we discuss that when we discuss the shapes, that the circle is a symbol, a representation of a feminine energy, right? And we specifically talked about it being a symbol of a motherly care, right? The circle is a symbol of care and comfort, just like the mother will give care and comfort to a child that's crying. That would be the symbol, the archetype. That's what we discuss when we say archetype. It's this general idea that's prevalent in all the cultures, in all of the, you know, whether you live in one part of the world or another part, the mother will be the same idea. A female figure taking care of her child, okay? It's interesting that, excuse me. It's interesting to know that Jung also, when Jung referred to archetypes, he also referred to some constantly recurring symbols or motifs in literature, in painting, in methodology, right? And it's, again, same thing, a character sharing similar trait through various, you know, different cases, okay? Welcome, everybody. And it's interesting to know that, you know, in Jungian psychology, right, what Jung worked on, he emerged the 4 major archetypes, right? He talked about anima animus. Anima animus is actually referring to the, you know, feminine energy and masculine energy, right? The self, right? The self is this ideal version of this human being, the way the person ideally pictures him or herself, right? That's the self. That's something the person always strives to become. That's kind of, for many people would say that would be the goal in their life, to reach this ideal prototype of who they are, right? There is a shadow. Shadow is an extremely interesting archetype to study. I'm actually hoping to make a separate course about it. So shadow works, the idea of the shadow is that within the shadow goes everything that we do not want to be. Remember how the self is this ideal self that we want to be, the ideal prototype? Well, the shadow is the opposite. The shadow is what we would like to avoid becoming, right? So it's interesting to know that idea, that the shadow, all the weaknesses, every repressed emotion, ideas we have, we actually kind of throw it inside the shadow. And we have to be careful, right? Because the shadow can become huge and it can become bigger than the person, right? In Soviet Union, where I grew up, there was a famous movie when I was little. I don't remember it that much, but I remember the basic idea. It was called The Shadow, right? And the idea was that this person was becoming big and powerful. And he said that he doesn't have enough time. He doesn't have enough he doesn't have enough time to complete all the projects that he has. He's becoming very popular. He's invited to go to various places to give speeches. And he said, but I don't have enough time, to do everything. So his shadow approaches him and says, I look just like you. Why don't I go ahead and just, be your impersonator? This way we can work together. And the third person thought, oh, what a great idea. Why don't we do that? And they started working together, and the shadow started gaining lots and lots of power. And at a certain moment, the person realized that the shadow became bigger than him. And moreover, the shadow took over all of his roles. And now the shadow plays his role in life, and he himself, the person, is non-existent in a way, because he's kind of I would use that word, repressed out, right? So, and he started working back. He started realizing that he cannot allow the shadow to take his place. And that was the main idea, that we have to be very careful what's happening with our shadow. Sometimes our shadow grows so big. Sometimes we throw so many things into that darkness that it grows bigger and bigger. And it may outgrow us, okay? And it's important to figure out, right? Take some time to figure out what's happening with us, who we are, what are we afraid of, what are we hiding, and take it out of the shadow, deal with it, talk to it. Neurographic method is a perfect method to do that. We actually, the last 4 weeks, that's what I've been doing, right? I've been leading a series of sessions once a week. If you go to my YouTube channel, you will see it's called Elul, a month of renewal and completion. It refers to this month before the yearly cycle, the full yearly cycle. In Judaism, we start the full yearly cycle, actually starts tonight with the new lunar calendar, right? With the beginning of the new month, we start the new year. But the month before we start the new year, we actually go through everything. Our shadows, our resolutions, everything we promised we want to do, everything we promised we will do, everything we did, and everything we didn't do, right? And we started going through each one of them and figuring out, do I still want to do this? Then yes, I'll take it to the new year. Maybe I don't want to do this. And I say, thank you for the idea, but I want to close, right? And also talking with your shadow. What was something that made you upset last year? What was something, this past year? We've been having a turbulent 2 years already. We all know that, right? 2020 and 2021 also somewhat more up and downs, but that's what happens, when we start dealing with our archetypal insights, right? Archetypal, it's something, an idea that's kind of applies to the whole group of people, but it also applies to you on a personal level, right? And this is what I want to bring in. The last, we mentioned four archetypes that Jung talks about. It's, we mentioned anima animus, the self, the shadow, The last one is the persona, right? It's also called the ego, right? The ego, it's what a person wants, what a person strives to do. This innate force within us that kind of constantly pushes us to say, here, do this and get that, and constantly pushes us to strive for something new, earn more money, learn something new, start growing, go further in our personal relationships with people, have a child, kind of procreate, and everything like that. So it's interesting to know that when we start figuring this out, when we start paying attention, what do we need, who we are, which archetype within us needs to work more, okay? And that's the general idea of the archetype that I wanted to kind of discuss with you in relation to this specific algorithm. But it's interesting to know that based on those major archetypes that Jung came about, this is what I'm actually personally studying. I'm studying a book by Carol Pearson and Margaret Mark. They brought out 12 major archetypes, right? Based on 3 groups: the ego type, right? The soul type, and the self, right? The 3 journeys. And it's interesting how it's actually in a circular notion. It's similar to the hero's journey that we did on Friday, right? Also, they go into 4 steps, right? Altogether, it's 12 steps. And it's an amazing idea. I'm studying it now. It's absolutely fascinating. It's something to explore. It's something to learn. But I want to go a bit further with you guys. Give me 1 second. I just want to look at my Facebook. Okay, good. Over here. Sometimes okay. And I want to go a bit further, right? So what happens? Why do we call this archetyping? Okay, let's go a bit further to discuss what happens during archetyping. We call it archetyping, and what we do, we start adding color, right? At this point, within our drawing, we have already distinguish various segments within the picture. If you remember, right, how Neurographica picture looks like, we add neural lines, we start the composition, whether it's a catharsis or whether we start with the shapes or the lines, we conjoin them, right? And at this point, within our Neurographica drawing, we see a certain pattern, we see certain shapes emerging, right? Call them cells, some people call them fragments, right? We look at them. And our job within the archetyping step is to add a color in a way where smaller fragments will be united together, right? They will be united together, and we start coloring them together, thus forming a huge shape. Why? Why do we need to form a huge shape? Because that huge shape is part of the archetyping. I want to start the drawing. We usually draw. With those of you who are in the Instagram, right? In my Instagram, I'm going to tilt my phone, and I'm going to hope this will help you. Those on Facebook I'm just going to share I will just be sharing my, not sharing, but rather switch my screen. So you will be able to see what I am doing. And also on Instagram, I guess I will just tilt my phone and hopefully it will work. There we go. Let's see if it works. If I switch my... The main idea here is just to show you through drawing, what is it that I'm trying to explain to you, how we're going, what's happening, the main ideas that I'm trying to explain to you by words. So this is a Neurographica. It's a visual way to learn, visual way to explain anything and everything. I think the best part is to actually start drawing Neurographica, and the best way to explain everything, okay? Now remember, right, if we start with take the blue, right? if we start with starting the composition, right? I hope you guys see this, right? Then we will, those on Instagram, let me know. Is there a way I can see comments? I think I do. Let me know if it's okay the way I hold the camera now, or should I be turning it? Okay. Is this better? Is this the right way for you guys to see what I'm drawing? Let me know, put some comments, put yes, or should I turn the phone back? Because I think it makes sense to me that this would be the logical way for you guys to see what I'm drawing. Okay. Let me see, do I see people's comments? Yes, excellent, great. Thanks for letting me know, ladies. Okay. So what's going on? Okay. Excellent, great. So this is what's happening, okay? As we started the composition, let's say in this case, we're just going to draw a few neural lines, connect them together, remember? Sometimes when we draw, we connect, we do the conjoining right away. And sometimes we draw a series of composition, whether it's a catharsis or neural lines, and then we do connections, right? Those of you who joined me yesterday for the butterfly effect, the first session, the intro session, you remember how we had to do the rounding. Each time we added a line, and only then we did the rounding. Right? And with time, as we add the neural line, as we add the rounding segments, right? What happens? We start noticing that a certain pattern, right? Certain like style, and we all know that's what Neurographica picture looks like, right? Certain like shapes are emerging, right? Let's say I'm just gonna add a few more neural line, right? And especially people who are in the basics course, a lot of times people have they get this feeling, right? They get the intuitive calling to color each segment different color, right? And it's on an artistic level, this would actually look nice, right? Each color is separate. It looks like a kaleidoscope, right? It looks like this array of color. And it becomes a bit hard to understand when I try to explain that actually in Neurographica, we must, within the archetyping step, right, the main major rule is what is to combine 2 or 3 segments within one color, right? And to most people, again, like I said, especially artists, right, who are so used to having this unique idea, this unique way of coloring, right, where they would bring out each segment, notice, by the way, how when I add with a thick line, and when I add neural lines with a thin line with my ultrafine marker, it has a different effect, right? So the idea within archetyping is to make sure that we are uniting, we're bringing out within our collective and conscious. What that means is we're bringing out ideas from my whole culture, my whole family system, let's say all the females, right? If you're a woman, all the males, if you're a man, like this idea of collective and consciousness, right? Where the group of people share the way they see a certain idea, the way they see a certain image, right? Like what I said, the major, right, I gave you that major example about the mother. Same thing can be done about the father, right? If we're talking to say the word father is this major archetypal idea where there's a male figure who has a child, right? Notice that there are different ways we view mother figure, mother archetype, and a father archetype, right? The mother is somebody who takes care of her child, a female figure. A father is a male figure who has a child, right? Notice the difference. And it's true because archetypically, right? And when we talk about archetypes, some people may refer to traditional, right? Traditional view, let's say a father is somebody, who's not necessarily going to stay home and take care of the child. Quite the opposite, right? Fathers are expected to go work and everything. But again, when we talk about archetypes, we are talking about the specific traditional view of a certain image or a certain person or a certain word, right? And that's when we say archetypal, it's actually much more than traditional. It also refers to certain instinctual knowledge that we all share, right? It also refers to certain modeling that people will have, the way people see their own mother, the way people view other mothers within their surrounding, okay? It all comes together, but it's also the way their mother would see the role of the mother, their grandmother would see the role of the mother, her grandmother and grandfather, great mother, even though she never met her, right? But it will be instinctual. It will be within a certain subconscious or even unconscious. And Jung referred to it as collective because this is a huge unconscious and subconscious that we all share. So what happens here is our job within the archetyping step is to actually connect various segments, various fragments. Again, some people refer to it as cells because they do look like cells, right? Like human body, biological cells. What we're doing is we're taking these fragments and we need to unite them. We need to put them together. If I color, let's say this is blue, right? Can you see the blue color? It's a little light. Let me take a darker color. Let's say blue, right? If I take this blue, right? And I will make this orange, right? Right? And the next one will be pink, right? The point is, visually, remember in Neurographica, we deal with everything visually because we see things, right? Visually, what I will see is division, okay? Besides the fact that by color, we're trying to express emotion, but what my conscious will catch on is that I'm dividing the cells by color. What Pavel is teaching us, what Pavel Piskarev is the founder of Neurographica, Dr. Pavel Piskarev, PhD, he created Neurographica and he created the pyramid of consciousness. He created many, many other models, psychological models. And what he says is we should be doing the opposite. We should be uniting. We should be taking the smaller fragments and putting them together. Why? Because when we start, with the point of Neurographic, when we set a goal to achieve something, the reason why we didn't achieve that goal yet is that we don't have enough resources within us to achieve that goal. So what can we do? We can do something that within the coaching world called gathering resources, right? So what does it mean? That means we gather resources different ways. When we add the conjoining, when we add the harmony, that's one way to gather resources, right? When we start adding color in connecting various smaller segments into building one big figure. Now, it doesn't have to be a geometrically correct figure, right? It doesn't have to be specifically a circle or a triangle or a square, right? The neuro figures, neuro shapes. When we build any kind of shape, look at this. We built something. And by building this something, what did we do? We actually connected, right? Few segments together, few cells, right? These little tiny parts that we originally created through our neuro drawing, right? Neural lines and everything else. Look what happens. As soon as we start adding this color, as soon as we start archetyping, and by archetyping, we use a color to connect smaller segments, right? What we're doing subconsciously is we're connecting myself, my personal ideas, my personal aspiration, my personal goal, with the goal of maybe my mother, my grandmother, maybe my grandfather, somebody within my family system. I start connecting to the environment. Maybe I will connect to a friend of mine who has a similar goal. Maybe I start connecting to some other people who have a similar goal of achieving the same thing. And thus, I connect to the egregor. Egregor is, groups of people, that share the same goal, and thus they connect their energies together. And as a result, the collective energy becomes higher than the individual one. What does it mean in lay terms, right? If I want to build a house, literally build a house, I can start going and taking bricks and putting together, and it will take me a long period of time. So what would be the best way? The best way is to gather people who are united by the same goal like I do, right? Let's say my goal was to build a house, and I can either find people, let's say my family members, who want to either build a house with me, or I can find people whom I'm paying, and then they have the same goal because I'm paying them and to help me. And now their goal is also to build a house. Together, we can build a house, A, faster, B, more efficiently, C, stronger, right? It will be a better house than me doing it myself. And the house will stay longer because this house is a representative of a collective work, of a collective, it's called egregor, of a collective effort, right? And that's what happens when we unite the color. When we put all these colors together, what we're trying to do, one second, give me a second, everybody. Oh, excellent. Let me show you here. Okay. I realize I need to check I realized my Facebook got a little frozen, so I wanted to kind of reboot it to see if you guys can see me. Excellent. And that's what happens when we add color segment by segment. And look, when I look at this specific frame, at this part of the picture, I'm not seeing the separate segments, but rather I see this collective force, right? The series of all of the cells that gather together by the color blue to start being a flowing force, to be a flowing energies through my drawing, okay? And the way it works is quite subconsciously. If you ask me, Lana, what does it do? Who is this? Which one is my grandmother? Which one is my grandfather? Or maybe great-grandmother, or maybe a friend of mine who wants to do this. And I will tell you, I don't know. It's hidden from us, but it does work. It's a subconscious way of collecting separate aspects of who we are, right? It works both on the internal level and the external. The example I just gave you about the house is external when you work with your environment, but it also works on the internal level where different aspects of who you are kind of gathering here, and together they kind of say, look, if we kind of merge together, we will be a force, we will be a resource to Lana, right? Because these are parts of who I am, right? In general, we will be an important force to Lana to reach her goal, okay? And for example, so the rule in Neurographica, right? The way Pavel teaches is that you need to combine two segments together, and that will be archetyping. To my students, I actually go further and I say, in order for this to be a successful archetype, you should combine 3 or even 4. And I'll tell you why, because the truth is, look at my segments, they're huge. But sometimes people draw tiny, tiny segments, right, like this. They draw tiny, tiny segments like this, right? And they start, oh, 1 second. Okay. And it's, it becomes tiny, tiny segments. And then they start coloring each segment different color, right? Even if they combine 2, they're still too small to look. Look, if I would combine this orange, right? And this one would be green, right? Look at this, right? Look, it's still not archetyping. It's not big enough. It's not collective enough. And this is the reason why I teach my students at the basics level, try to go beyond the minimum of 2 segments. Try to actually go toward 4, at least, in order for your job, your work, your goal in order for your archetyping step to work, remember, in archetyping is putting together a little tiny parts of who you are, or little tiny parts of who, different people in your environment, whether they're in your family, ancestry level, we know, even if they're not alive, their souls, right? Their energy still working, right? And start working through that, right? And I'll give you, sometimes people color like this here. I'm gonna show you an example, right? Right, let's say they take and they color this big segment and they make it one, right? And when I give supervision, I tell them, remember the archetyping rule, you need to have at least two, preferably three or four, at least 3 or 4 segments to color together, okay? And they have to be together. Let's say this orange are separated, they're not together, they're not united anymore, okay? What you can do, right? 2 ways to deal with it. The first way to deal with it would be, you can actually go across, if there is like this separation, you can actually combine colors. And look, once you go across, look at this. You just created a beautiful archetyping segment here, okay? Another way to do, let's say a person doesn't want to do this, right? Let's say a person says, I want to, right, look at this, right? Let's say they added big segments, right? I'm showing you some practical, life hacks here, right? Some practical ways that you can improve your archetyping. Let's say you love certain colors and you're like, I don't want to change them. I don't want to go to other, I don't want to combine this with this. I don't want to go through the green or through the blue or the orange. What can you do? But you still have to do the archetyping, right? So what I would tell you in this case, what I would suggest for you guys in this case is to look at this. I would suggest for you, take that big fragment, or even if it's smaller, and just add a neural line. Look what happens. Voila. You just united 2 separate segments together. The major idea here is not just, yes, you added a huge fragment, but the idea is to unite the smaller ones into big ones. Do you understand? It's not just bringing out, you can tell me, but Lana, this fragment is big enough. Why do I need to connect it to something else? Because I will explain to you that it's a 2-step, it's a 2-side, right? It's a coin with 2 sides. Because one step, you have to unite the smaller fragments. And the second step, you have to build a huge, huge fragment, right? So you can take and go with your pink over here, right? Right. And by the way, white is a color too. You can leave some of your fragments white, right? I'll be honest with you, archetyping is such a vast step. It's a huge step. Like I'm thinking, there's so many other aspects of archetyping that I didn't go into, like the fact that color is an expression of our emotion, right? I have students who tell me, Lana, when I do coloring, when I do archetyping, I cannot do reflection because I'm so in the process of coloring that I feel like I'm involved in this process. And I tell them, that's great. Just go ahead with it. Don't worry. You can always do the reflection process after you do the whole coloring. But look what happens. I added another pink and look, you created big segments, right? Over here, what I would do, but again, how do you know which segments to bring out? Is there a logical explanation to it? Is there like a certain pattern you need to follow? So I'm going to answer you the same way I always answer. Intuition, guys. Go with your intuition. Choose the color you want to choose intuitively. Coloring is an intuitive part. Start using intuition to start understanding, because at this point, think about it. What is coloring? What do kids love to do the most? Just color, right? They take a coloring book, they take their favorite markers, pencils, highlighters, oil pastels. I'm using all my tools because all my kids love to take all my tools and start using them for their coloring purposes. That's what happens, guys. The kids love coloring. Why? Because it's a way to go inside yourself. It's a way to touch upon your happiness, your soul. Your soul has this innate part of who you are. And the way it expresses is through emotions, through joy. Coloring is a way you touch upon your joy. You become happy. because it's freedom. There's no rules. There's no, my background is early childhood, and I would be very uncomfortable when I worked with the special education children in various settings, mostly at home, but sometimes I would go to daycares and everything like that. And I would have a very uncomfortable feeling when in certain daycares, I would see the children were told, we're talking about like 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, we're told that the tree trunk has to be brown and the leaves have to be green. Said who, right? At this age, the children have their own imagination that they want to bring out. They're not focused on the realistic expression through their pictures. And when we grow up as adults, we are told and we are taught and we learn that this is the right way to do. The tree's trunk has to be brown and the tree leaves have to be green. When you do Neurographica, when you get to the archetyping part, when you start coloring, the idea that you get is that our imagination is bigger than the reality. And yes, you can make the tree trunk purple and the tree leaves can be blue because that's what your imagination is telling you. And the point is, over here, we don't have any trees. There's no specific symbolic representation. That's why in Neurographic, you just go with your intuition. Your intuition will tell you, this segment, I want to make color gray, for example, silverish, right? I have silverish. And you just start coloring and listen to your intuition. Your intuition will tell you where to go next. The only rule you have to follow is connecting 3 to 4 segments together. The rest is completely up to you. Which way they're connected, how they're connected. You can do, humongous. You can divide your drawing. You can add only 3 colors to your drawing. I believe the minimum is 3. There's no maximum, you don't want to add too many colors because, again, there is an energy flow here that you want to kind of keep. But the general idea itself is the same, okay? Kind of pay attention, start being aware. What's going on here? Look at this, right? Look at how my picture looks, right? Let's say I will go like this. Look, there's a flow. Create a flow, create a connection between the fragments, remember what I said, there are fragments of who you are. There are different aspects of who you are, different energies within you that you connect together. And you start understanding that this is the way, by connecting this together, some resources within me came together and they will be a unifying resource that I can use to go forward in life, to go forward with my goal, right? But notice this little red shape over here that's very lonely. That's what happens. This is our inner child that we're meeting again. And that's what it's all about. This is why, remember in the beginning, when we do the composition, we're dealing with the inner child. We're talking to it. We're trying to comfort it if it's a catharsis, right? If it's a dramatic situation. And at this point, we're allowing our inner child, after we have comforted, after the child had harmony, because we do that through the rounding, we allow our child to start expressing their imagination. Did you make the fragments? Yes. This color. This is how we draw Neurographic. Yes. By adding the neural lines, the fragments were created. We allow our inner child to go further and to start kind of expressing their thoughts, their fantasies. First we comfort the child and then we start asking, what did you want to do? What is in your mind? Tell me. And this is how your inner child expresses themselves, right? The inner child tells you, something within me is this color, right? Remember, this talk is not a conscious talk. We don't know what the child is talking about, yet we still allow this expression, this, this way, the way for a child to connect to others, right? So I need to connect this red because it's lonely. It needs to be connected somehow. So what I'm going to do is maybe combine. Look at this. This is what I want to do. Go through this, right? Color. I'm coloring quickly, guys. I know, guys, I see the way you color. Your coloring is usually much more thorough, more connected. And I enjoy seeing most of your Neurographica and not just Neurographica drawings in my feed. I'm very glad to have, you know, such an array of great artistic and expressive friends. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know, I need to follow, I need to practice what I preach. And I'm saying 1 to 3 segments is not enough. We need to have at least 4. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a few more segments, you know. And I'll tell you, when you add this little tiny segments, when you divide the big fragment into smaller ones, you are creating, you're kind of, you know, creating various resources within you. Yes, it's called Neurographica. Hi, Priscilla. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you here. Absolutely. This is called Neurographica. You're welcome to explore more on my YouTube channel. I give a lot of sessions, a lot of intro courses, intro classes. Neurographica, my YouTube channel is called the same way as my personal profile, Lana Shalom. I have a lot of intro. I have a lot of drawings where I explain how to draw this. I will send you an intro video if you want to. I'll PM it to you. Okay, let me know if it's okay with you, and I will PM the major video that I made just to explain how Neurographic works, and just an intro drawing, just so for you to understand the neural lines and everything else. Absolutely. We're actually having the basics course, which will, excellent, Priscilla, I will do this. We are hosting the basics course, which is the intro course, which would teach everything about Neurographica, all the algorithms, all the steps, next 2 Sundays, okay? Sunday the 12th and Sunday the 19th, we will be teaching them. So if anybody's interested, please PM me. I would love to have everybody join and learn. This is absolutely fascinating. This is absolutely amazing. And again, this is a great conversation with your subconscious, unconscious, and this is a great way. This is a great coaching tool. This is a great therapeutic tool, perfect for everybody within their professional or personal practice, okay? This is the best way to do self-coaching, okay? I am going to kind of start finishing up. I have another group waiting for me now, but I want to kind of, maybe I will continue the archetyping, I realize, because there's so much more to talk about the color. The color is the energy, the color that we use to express through 5 elements. That's a separate course also, but that's, color here is an important energy that we use in Neurographica. I kind of brought you like a little tiny step, right? We have, like I said, a whole course called Neurocolor where we talk or discuss what color is, how we use color within Neurographica to bring the certain energy we're looking for, and everything else. I would like, hello, Marla. Hello, so nice to see you here. Thank you, thank you. I really tried because, you know, archetyping is such a vast topic. It cannot be explained within half an hour or even an hour, right? It's a really, really amazing topic that takes much longer. And like I said, as I'm studying them now, I am developing a new course that will be coming, I guess, next year already, okay, toward the end of this new year. But wishing everybody a beautiful, wonderful day ahead. Let me change the camera to my face as I want to say goodbye to you in person. What's going on here? I can't do this for some reason. For some reason, my Zoom button disappeared on my desktop. Okay. Can't change my camera on Zoom, but I can definitely change my camera on Instagram. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this wonderful session we had today. I want to wish everybody a wonderful day ahead. For those of you who celebrate Rosh Hashanah, for those of you who are starting celebrating the new moon, right? For those of you who believe that we are starting this new amazing yearly cycle ahead of us, I want to wish you a wonderful, beautiful year ahead. You know, may all of our aspirations and wishes come true. May we dare to wish, right? That's going to be the major idea, the major mission I'm having for this year ahead. Shana Tova, Priscilla. Shana Tova Umetuka. We say the new year should be happy, joyous, and sweet. which means everything we try should be sweet and pleasant to us, okay? And oh, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Fuzia. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, beautiful, excellent. Hello, everybody who are new. And I want to kind of end with this special mission that I'm sending you is let's dare to dream. Everybody, dare to dream, dare to bring your aspirations to life, dare to make dreams and fantasies, and let's see them come true, okay? Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you, everybody, on Thursday morning for the next segment, the next session in our open sessions, okay? I want to kind of give a quick shout out to a wonderful session to those of you who joined me yesterday for the butterfly effect. We had an amazing first session. It's an amazing course. Those of you who haven't, go to my YouTube channel and watch it. It's an amazing, amazing program, kind of discussing a lot of archetypal ideas that we discussed today is a part of that course. Watch the session, see if you like it, PM me. Would be happy to have you join our course, which we are continuing on Friday. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Enjoy your day. Mm-hmm.